Stop compromising. No more cognitive dissonance. Welcome to today's topic, ladies and gentlemen. I am Coach Tobias Forst, founder of Achilles Life Coaching, decade-long recipient of narcissistic abuse, and I've saved myself from it. And I will support you on your journey to your personal freedom. So strap in, this is gonna be a long one today. Let's take the following premise for today's video. You are experiencing an internal conflict. On the one hand, you've collected facts, made observations, and lived through certain experiences with your toxic partner, toxic family member. And on the other hand, you still hold hopes, feelings, and beliefs that this might change at some point if you only did X, Y, Z. But still, you have come to the conclusion during this internal turmoil within you that it is time for you to stop compromising with your toxic partner, let's say. But still you haven't summoned the courage to actually follow through. And you already can name the reason why. You think you need to. You still hold a certain respect. You don't want to offend them in any way. Now, at this point in the video, it is my task, it is my duty to metaphorically slap you out of your cognitive dissonance. I will take you through round about 13 examples that what you've experienced was and is very, very real, and none of it was meant in any way in your best interest. So the truth is this. Respect who? Respect who? Honestly, who do you still think you need to be respectful toward? Do you think you need to be respectful towards somebody who costs you your sleep? Because at 0:30, at 12:30 in the morning, Miss Impulsive just has to discuss this drama of her own making, and she cannot go to sleep until she bombarded you with whatever she needs to talk to you about. Or Mr. Narcissist at 12:30 in the morning, who is very well aware that at 8 in the morning you need to be up and running and cognitively functional during the quarterly meeting at the company you're working at. And he knows that if he brings up another self-made drama, that you won't be able to fall asleep prior to 3 a.m. in the morning. This is a method of torture, ladies and gentlemen. And employing this method of torture, sleep deprivation, is done so by none other than a perpetrator. Be respectful toward whom? Those who destroy your self-love, who cost you, by extension, business success, financial freedom, happiness, serenity, tranquility. And over time you start to believe that you actually deserve this treatment. You actually don't deserve more of this type of love or that kind of success. Maintain respect toward whom? To those who socially isolate you until there's no one left? Respect toward whom? Those who manage to distort your perspective on reality in such a profound way that you don't even know who you once were, what your goals and aspirations were, because you're surrounded by a a nebula, a fog of distortions and drama fires, big and small, close and far, all of their doing, and you cannot even see the forest for the trees. Respectful towards whom? Towards those who rob you of most of your potential? Do this, don't do that. You might be overburdening yourself with that plan. Tougher cookies than you failed at that. You can't be serious. You're not made for this. You're not cut from this cloth. Respectful towards whom? Towards those who cost you so much of your precious lifetime because you're neither available nor open for healthy people out there. Because he or she simply just does not let you go. Respectful towards whom? Towards those who insinuate and insist upon you being the sick one, you being the damaged one. Oh, aren't you sensitive today? You're always so agitated when... whatever. Remain respectful towards whom? Towards those who have made you and programmed you to be so hyper-vigilant that you immediately kick into fight, freeze or flight mode when the restaurant waiter 5 meters away from you drops a spoon and you hear it falling on the ground and you go like this in a matter of a half second. Respectful towards whom? Towards those who should in fact hand you out a stamp card of your urologist so that after 10 visits, at least number 11 will be free for you because Mr. Narcissist or Miss Impulsive has again not managed to control their sexuality. Respectful towards whom? Towards those who sow such an amount of confusion in your life that you are at a point where you seem unable to make any decision at all because you're thinking about 1,000 different possibilities and each and every if and what if. Respectful towards whom? Towards those who manage to utter almost no true word toward you. Respectful towards whom, ladies and gentlemen? Towards whom? Towards those who drive you to addiction, to a point where this particular beverage, will help you forget for a few hours, or that particular substance will put your mind at ease, and you're very well aware, in both cases, of the detrimental health effects it has on you, but still you gladly accept the trade-off. Last but not least, respectful towards whom? Towards those who verbally bombard you each and every time you manage to catch a breath for a few hours or after a few days of recuperation. Because the cattle shouldn't get the idea that it is a human at the farm, and the cattle is not allowed to leave beyond the fence. But that is not who you are. It's just what they try to make you believe that you are. So, regarding your cognitive dissonance, ladies and gentlemen, no. A clear and loud no. You do not have to respect this type of person and their vile behavior. Ladies and gents, you are not the emotional regulation tampons for the immature. You have no obligation, no duty to draw in and accept the burden of their feelings, their manipulations, and their lies. This is to help you wake up from your cognitive dissonance. What you've experienced is real. And your hopes, feelings, and dreams are null and void when it comes to this particular person. And I'm sure you could add loads of other aspects, how they try to control you, and please feel free to comment below. So the next step in this video, ladies and gentlemen, what can you do to reduce your willingness to compromise? To reduce the number and magnitude of the compromises that you've offered so far. How can you remove yourself from this? How can you act differently? Point number one of 4 in total. Number 1, you will reevaluate each and every single factor that was used against you in order to extort you and have you behave or not act in a certain way, as the toxic interlocutor desires. With this reevaluation process, a few foods for thought for you to consider. If this really is still a pressure point against you to make you comply, or if it's no longer really relevant and has lost its power because you've taken the power back. So ask yourself this: do you really still require her professional services? Do you really require his products? Do you require being associated with her? Do you require his or him imparting certain knowledge to you? Do you require her club? Soccer, tennis, whatever. Martial arts. Do you require his social group? Because they threaten to remove you if you don't comply. Maybe you're at a point where you don't care anymore, where this holds no more value. Do you still require her money? Do you still require his illusion of love? Number 2, during your re-evaluation, during you waking up to no longer compromising with narcissists and other toxic people. The question, what is family? We won't solve this question today, we won't answer it, but I can tell you what family shouldn't be. Family shouldn't be damaging to you, and family shouldn't be detrimental to you. So your task is very clear and very unpleasant, but equally highly important. Learn to accept that. Learn to accept that you in this life will never have a healthy relationship with your mother or your father, or your sister or your brother, or your daughter or your son. So what? So what, ladies and gentlemen? You will be better off on your own. You were just a battery for him or her anyway. And you will be if you allow them. Number 3. Learn to let go Learn to let go in the following way. Each and every time that you make a decision for something, you automatically decide against something else. And with each and every one of those decisions, you sacrifice some things and you gain others. This is part of the deal of being an adult. And your decision when it comes to your toxic partner or family member or whomever, your decision is this. You actively, consciously, from now on, decide against the psychological abuse, and you decide for your own personal freedom. And number 4, this will be unpleasant for some of you, but I have to say it. And the gloves need to come off for some of you, from me towards some of you, ladies and gentlemen. After all these points I mentioned, 1, 2, and 3, if you still cling to the idea, but I want a healthy relationship with my mother or my father or whoever, then, ladies and gents, it is finally time to let go of your egoism. This healthy relationship was not possible back then, it is not possible now. And with narcissists and other like-minded people, it will not be possible in the future. And by you still craving that, you at the same time hand them over entries to your user manual because you desire this, and they have the power to give it or refuse to give it. And ladies and gentlemen, whoever wants loses. And you seem to forget, those of you that this point number 4 applies to, you seem to forget that you are actually talking with a junkie, somebody who's addicted to narcissistic supply. You seem to forget that you have the power. Take it back. Now, where were we? At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, assuming you've woken up from your cognitive dissonance and accept that what happened to you was and is real, and in a second stage that you've come to the conclusion that you will no longer compromise with toxic people in your surroundings. These people will try to shame you. What will this most likely look like? They will try to shame you by conveying the idea that you seem to display a lot of intolerance and discrimination against them. Intolerance and discrimination. So let's take a look. Let's play along for this one time and learn the meaning of words that they so nonchalantly throw at you. What does it actually mean? I am translating now the German definitions of tolerance, number 1, 2, and 3, and discrimination, number 1, 2, and 3. So, let's go for tolerance 1. Forbearance. Do you feel like employing forbearance for what you've experienced so far? No. As is your right. It is your right to not tolerate abuse toward you. Tolerance number 2. An organism's resilience against damaging outside influences, especially toxic agents and radiation. So how's the resilience of your organism coming along when it comes to damaging outside influences? You are shielding yourself. You're putting on a hazmat suit by no longer compromising. As, ladies and gentlemen, as is your right. Tolerance number 3. Admissible difference between aspired norm and the de facto measures, amounts, dimensions. What's your aspired norm? Your aspired norm, ladies and gentlemen, is probably very simple. Respectful, being treated in a respectful and loving manner by your intimate partner. Shouldn't be that hard now, should it? But then these quality people come along. And they seem to only be able to deal with the rest of us with manipulation, lying, gaslighting, conditioning, and the list goes on and on. So the difference between your aspired norm and the de facto measurements and dimensions is just too big. So no, you do not tolerate this type of behavior. As is your right. Let's look at the Latin roots. Tolerare. Latin, to bear, to endure. You bore it, you endured it. It almost destroyed you. So no more. No more bearing, no more enduring. As is your right. Let's take a look at the magic word of discrimination. Discriminate 1. To publicly damage somebody's reputation or image by means of inapplicable utterances or claims. To disparage somebody or something. The magic word being inapplicable. With you talking about the truth, what actually happened, cannot, by definition, be inapplicable. And it doesn't require you to speak publicly about this. It can be with friends, family, the therapist, the lawyer, him or her, as little as this does any good to whatever you're hoping to achieve by that. So, no, in that sense, it's not discrimination what you're doing. Discriminate 2. To penalize somebody by means of different treatment, to render somebody contemptuous or scorn somebody by stoking prejudice. You're not stoking prejudice. This has nothing to do with prejudice. The truth has nothing to do with prejudice. Their psychological abuse is fact. You have the scars to prove it. You have the written records of it. You have the audio or video recordings of it. Maybe. Hopefully. Especially when you try to get rid of them or remove yourself from the equation that is the toxic marriage or relationship you might find yourself in. So, to render somebody contemptuous or scorn somebody by stoking prejudice, well, his or her feelings don't matter. They are not a legal basis. They do not yield, they do not constitute legal requirement. I'm lost for the proper word. I hope you catch my drift. Forgive me. Forgive my ESL, English as a second language here. So no, according to number 2, you're not discriminating against them. They might want you to think that way, so that you are a good sheep that keeps on complying. Discriminate number 3. Differentiate. Hurrah, you're discriminating. You are differentiating. And it is your right to differentiate according to how some people treat you compared to others. Because you, ladies and gentlemen, have a preference as to how you wish to be treated by other people. So if your wannabe shamers that throw words like these at your face and others, if those wannabe shamers wanna go cry and escape to their oxygen tent with the addition of narcissistic supply dispenser, then they should do so and can do so. But please, over there. And when it comes to your wannabe shamers, for a long time in my life, I had thought that excrements could only leave the human body through the southern rear orifice. But shamers, people who try to instill shame in you, seem to manage the same result perfectly fine and effortlessly with their own mouths. So, behold the next stage of human evolution, Homo excremens. For me personally, ladies and gentlemen, I have removed all destroyers. I have removed all mega wannabes and all victimhood CEOs from my life, all apart from a single person. And I will sit through this until Tempus does its work. Tick, tock. And when that day comes, it will be just a formality. I differentiate it. I re-evaluate it. There is no more power over me by these people. It came with sacrifice. Yes, it did. But what it yielded was the one thing I craved the most. And I live in it each and every day. My personal freedom. And this is a state that I wish you to achieve as well. If you wish to get my help for that personal, individual journey of yours, I offer one-on-one coachings. You can find the contact data in the description below. And while the morally and behaviorally corrupted reap what they sowed, what remains for me to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time is be your own hero and be your own heroine. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.